guys, and welcome to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit your notification bell for all new videos. Today I wanted to go on a topic talking about 10 ways that we, including myself, abandon ourselves. And I wanted to share with you these 10 things that you do that you aren't aware of, or some are, that makes you abandon yourself and lose yourself, and you can find yourself in a lot of sticky situations, or just really losing your self-esteem and your purpose and your vision and your hope when you do these things to yourself. So let's dive in and let me give you some tips and also how to overcome them. So number one would be people pleasing. I suffer from this a lot due to just trying to avoid conflict and trying to avoid that back and forth type of situation or scenario. Or sometimes I just people please because I honestly couldn't even tell you. Like, some things I really just don't be wanting to do, and then it could be like the lack of like loneliness, or like some type of peer pressure, or just really my mind playing a scenario in my head sometimes, and it's just like, okay. And I found that during a lot of that people pleasing, it made people take me for granted a lot and do a lot of things to me that were really sideways. And the part that really wasn't the best about that scenario is because they really didn't know me. So when they did those things, thinking because I was a people pleaser that I was a pushover, when I stepped out of character and did some things that they weren't aware of, it scared them. And it put them in a different mindset of who I was personally. And it also made me reflect on me personally, because I have a side of me that's different. How I've overcame the people pleasing now is I've honed in a lot on where people get me out of character at, and I've learned how to prevent myself from being in those situations. I've also learned how to respond better in those scenarios, and that all took inner healing and also realizing and understanding my true flaws. And that was a problem, and I had to really get to the root and really dig it up. And now that I know how to really control that anger, and I know how to express more how I'm feeling without having to get like physical or violent or aggressive or whatever you want to put it, because there's many terms, but I can go either way, and it really just depends on how you come in and you're approaching me. And I've learned that how to navigate that is focusing on what is the emotion that I'm feeling right now, and how do I show up in a better behavior than the emotion. Because even though I'm having an angry emotion or a sad emotion, don't mean I need to show up violent or physical. Maybe I need to show up more clear-headed and more open to listening, because maybe I'm angry off of something that I'm misinterpreting. So that's why I think that the people pleasing came in a lot with me. And now that I've overcame it by starting to hone in on what was really bothering me as to why I was letting myself please other people instead of really speaking my mind and what I feel and what I want to do and how I want to move. And now that I've honed in on that, it has helped me overcome the people pleasing. And I definitely recommend to stop people pleasing, because that's how people take advantage of you. And that's how people start to mistreat you and think that you will allow certain things. And then when you don't allow these certain things and you step out of character because you didn't really portray that image in the beginning and speak your boundaries because you were people pleasing, now you have a different type of image than the first image. And honestly, in my opinion, both images didn't look good. The first image was people pleasing, and now the second image is me coming out of character because I was trying to people please and be nice. And you mistook that as me being a fool, but really that was just me trying to show you the best side of me, because there is another side that can definitely switch up. Leads to number two, hiding parts of yourself. So like I said earlier, I hid a lot of parts of who I was and like how I was brought up. Number one, because personally, I've been through a lot in my life. Ooh, I got dry mouth, cotton mouth. I need something to drink. Hold on, you guys. Hiding parts of yourself. So this is where also the people pleasing tied into it, because I hid a lot about me. Because during my earlier years, I went through a lot in my life, and I had learned along the way that me sharing all those things made people look at me differently. And it made people look at me in a way of like, oh, she's so strong, or oh, she been through so much. Oh, that's so depressing. Like, I felt like instead of people realizing that I've overcame a lot, it kind of started to look like a sad story. So then I started switching that scenario and just not giving people who I truly was and what I really went through, because I felt like people just didn't understand real life. Like, and a lot of people, when I would talk to them, they never really had information, like nothing to give me, because I had already grew up early, grew up fast, and I had already had responsibilities at such a young age and been through so many different levels of life that knocks you down and hits you and puts you in a type of mental state that's is real. Like, I can give an example. I went through losing both my parents in a 9-month span, battling 2 terminally ill diseases. They both died from cancer, and I literally was taking care of them. I literally was bathing them, feeding them, handling their financials. You know, I was doing a lot. And I was between the ages of 18 to 21. So I didn't get the college experience. I had to drop out to take care of my parents. And some people, you know, everyone makes their choices. And I'm not regretting my choices, because I feel like those were the only moments I was going to have with my parents. So I felt like those moments were more important than going to college. And that's how I felt. But also it brought me to a grieving state, and I never really went through something like that, nor did I have anyone around me that really understood the depths of taking care of a parent that's dying, and literally going from being the child to being the parent, and watching your parent become the child and just dissolve away. It's just a really different look on life and death, and I felt like that was just something I wasn't prepared for at a young age, and I had a lot of other childhood trauma tagging along with it. So I had a lot of mental issues, I think, and I really just coped with it with hiding. So I felt like if people really got to know like what really in depth was going on with me, I just didn't want them to know that. I really just didn't want them to know that. I felt like I had to keep a straight face. Like, I couldn't let what happened to me wear on me. But then it started to wear on me because I wasn't releasing it. So that's why I said hiding and keeping secrets and not living in your identity and your truth can really hinder you with future growth and people really knowing who you are and really having those serious people in your life, as well as those good opportunities. Because if you're hiding your true self, you're basically hiding from the people who are supposed to help you overcome those things and be your backbone and support, because people are placed in your life for a reason. Is to help. And if you are hiding yourself and being some type of way and attracting these other kind of people who are not helping you, now you're hindering yourself. So definitely come out of that hiding shell. That's how I started to live in my truth and overcome my shame and my fears and like all the things that I did that were mistakes, is just stepping into my truth. This one is, we had people pleasing, hiding parts of yourself, and then this is number 3, perfectionism. So I had a big thing with being perfect. I don't think a lot of people do. I always wanted like the perfect skin, the perfect body, the perfect lips, the perfect teeth, the perfect eyes. Everything had to be symmetrical. I had to have the perfect length of hair. Everything had to be perfect. The apartment had to look like perfectly clean. There could not be a spot. And I still have that kind of struggle to this day that God is definitely working on. Helping me overcome a lot of that, because I think honestly that came from childhood and just people constant opinions and me always feeling like I'm failing. So since I always feel like I'm in this mode of I'm failing, everything has to always be perfect and in order, so nothing can fail. And that was my fear. So that's what I'm still working on. That one actually is a constant daily thing, and I think that should be for anyone who has like OCD and perfectionism and anxiety, because that's what we suffer from, guys. We suffer from just trying to be perfect, trying to have everything in place, and you can't have that. that's abandoning yourself, because we are human. We're going to make mistakes, and failure is normal, and owning it is normal. So when you start to not own that and basically think that you're supposed to be perfect and try to be perfect, you're going to overwhelm yourself and put yourself in a state of mind that is abandoning yourself. Speaking up for yourself is number 4. I had this as well. It kind of reversed. In the beginning, I spoke up too much for myself, and I started to find myself in a lot of conflict, a lot of problems, a lot of people telling me, people's opinion about my voice. And then after a while, I just started to hide the voice, because I felt like I was just getting told, you got too strong an opinion. You're such a strong woman. It's just all those things we get as women when we're just speaking who we are, when we know who we are. And people just bashing that because they want you to belittle yourself and not know. And I kind of let that start to get to me, which kind of made me stop speaking up for myself and letting people assume what they want to assume about me. And it kind of left me in a bad predicament, because then people would meet me and treat me based off of an opinion that they don't know me on. And then when they find out who I am, they always want to come back, or they always want to, say that I portrayed this type of image. But truthfully, if you look at the quarter on both sides, you didn't really get to know the image. And then I also had the issue with not portraying my true image. But it's hard for me to just honestly open up to people and show them my true image. I always was a type that have to feel you out to see if I'm comfortable enough to really start speaking to you about some stuff, because I have a lot of stuff on my mind, and I've been through a lot, and I'm not a dumb woman. So like when I like to have a conversation, I really need some experience with it. I need some actual intellect. And if I'm going to be vulnerable and open up, I need that in return. And I also need understanding and patience, because I'm not a woman who life was a breeze. I have a lot of background. And I felt like me speaking up and dealing with the kind of people I was dealing with, it just didn't really lead me nowhere. So I just stopped speaking up for myself, stopped speaking up on my opinions, what I view, what I think, because I just felt like people are going to do what they want to do. As long as it's not bothering me, I don't care. But then when it started to reflect on me, because I wasn't speaking up and showing who I was and what my values and boundaries was and morals and ethics, people started to throw a lot of things on me that wasn't me. And I started stepping out of what I was and losing my values and morals into something else based off of me not speaking up. Also, with the not speaking up, it caused me a lot of arguments, because I became like a ticking time bomb. Because when someone does something to me and I take note of it, it's usually a mental note. I never really speak about it until I see it as a repetitive pattern. And I've now learned that now the first time I see it, to just speak up. And the reason why I never really spoke up the first time is because I always was a person that wanted to give the person the benefit of the doubt and really try to understand the scenario. But then I learned giving that type of room gives people time to lie, gives people time to come up with a scenario. And then when I finally try to come to them and, be respectful, when I get lied to, it makes me angry. And then now I'm in a mindset of, now I'm gonna not tell you who I am. Now I'm on a different mode. Now I'm on a mode where I'm finna be another person. And so I definitely learned that now when I feel some type of way, just speak up all back. And if it's not working, cut my losses. And that also has helped me tremendously with removing people out of my life. Instead of just waiting until it happens over and over again, then speaking up on it, giving it time to look like I'm just allowing mistreatment, when really I was just giving the benefit of doubt. But now I think my process goes a little bit different. I don't really give the benefit of the doubt anymore. Now people have to literally earn it. And it has to be like test after test. And typically not too many people even getting qualified for the test. So I've been very strategic and very adamant about who I'm bringing in now, and if they're causing me to abandon who I am, or if they're causing to help and build who I am. Self-criticism and judgment. That one is from people-pleasing, hiding parts of yourself, perfectionism, not speaking up for yourself. And then number 5 is self criticism, and judgment. And you guys know I have a note, so I'm definitely looking at my notes. And these are things I learned along the way as I'm healing and learning who I am. So I'm really just sharing these 10 things that I actually did to abandon myself, that I had to overcome. And I'm sharing how I overcame it and how I've stepped into this new part of me where it's all about myself. And I love it. It's such a good relief. It's a good feeling. And to even know that in God's word, that's what he wants us to be, is about ourselves and loving ourselves. We are our own love. We are our love of our lives. So we have to be that. We have to represent that. We have to value that. We have to show that. And the only way to do that is, number one, owning it. Number two, reflecting it on yourself. And then number three, spreading the word for others so others can also hone in on it. The more people we have that have self-awareness, self-love, understanding, not abandoning themselves, understanding who they are, the better people we'll have in the world, because everyone will be complete and no one will be trying to harm one another based off of lack and hurt and mistrust. They will be more willing to be open to love and understanding and compassionate and patience. So, anywho, let's bring back to the self-criticism. Self-criticism, I had that a lot because I grew up in such a critical environment and everything was always, finger pointing. I became to have that own finger point at myself. Like everything I did was a judgment. Like even every mistake was, oh, you did this or you did that. And I started noticing I was talking to myself like that and like just always judging. And I just literally grew up in a judgment environment. Like my family was very judgmental. So it rubbed off on me. It became making me very judgmental, even on myself. And people don't realize when you criticize yourself a lot, as well as when you judgment yourself a lot, not only are you doing that to yourself, you're doing it to others, and people can see that. And they can see that you also judge yourself bad based off of how you talk about yourself and how you respond to yourself. So I just feel like you definitely need to start working on self-love, self-help, and self-development. Are combining these. So number 6 and then number 7. Number 6 I put as not honoring your needs, and then number 7 is suppressing your feelings. So those coincide. When you're not honoring your needs and being upfront about what you want, what you expect, what you need from this person, what your values are, what you're tolerating, what you're not tolerating, what your plans are for the future, do they coincide? Then you have to also start thinking, how do I feel about this person? And tell them how you feel and tell them what they've done to make you feel this type of way. So I learned that for me, I've always suppressed my feelings from like just childhood. I learned at an early age that feelings really don't matter. So I just started to suppress them. And I think that that's also what made me become more coincide with people pleasing and then hiding myself because I wasn't expressing truly what I was feeling. And then not honoring my needs is, I used to be the person that would have a whole day planned on something that I have to do, and then somebody would call me and need me and I would drop. And I had to learn to never do that, to always really start analyzing the picture. Because I will go and drop something thinking I'm going to help somebody, and I'll end up engaged in like literally physical altercation. You guys can see throughout my life, I abandoned myself a lot through a lot of these scenarios, a lot of these actual ways. And it harms me in a lot of many different ways. And it actually put me in scenarios in my life that I literally never would imagine myself in, but got into them based off of me people pleasing, abandoning my values and morals, stepping out of my comfort zone to do things that I didn't want to do, but I had an issue with losing people. And I think that's really from just childhood abandonment, and anybody who suffers from abandonment understands the significance of people leaving and walking out and how that feels, and just never knowing when they're returning. So having that being said, it became to make me more of a people pleaser, as well as it became to make me suppressing my feelings and not honoring my needs just to keep people around. And most of the time, I didn't even want those people around. I didn't like them. I knew it was something in common. They just around. Like, I had to really understand, like, that was just ridiculous. When, like, it's so good to express these things and also give you guys this information too, because now that I don't abandon myself and I look back and reflect on these things, I think, like, wow, all because of that, all because of people pleasing and all of these things coincide that it just led me to completely lose and abandon myself. And you just really don't understand the effects that the mind have from past behaviors, past trauma, past conditioning, past words. All those things come up with you and also become you. So you have to learn how to dispose the good of the bad. And you learn that, and I honestly learned that by going into the Bible and learning the word, because the word is good, the word is truth. So when you learn that word over what you're conditioned, and you start to learn what to dispose, what to let go, what to understand. So anywho, moving on to the last two, which is, the last three. The last three, which is 8, 9, 10. Number 8 is not acting accordingly to values. And then number 9 is codependency relationships. And then number 10 is not trusting your instincts. I'm going to put these 10 ways in the description box so you guys can know and start reflecting on yourself, which ones you do and how to overcome it in your scenario. And I also, at the end, tell you how I've overcame these things. I think I did a little bit in the midst, but I'm going to get a better deep dive at the end. But these 3 right here, not acting according to values, codependency relationships, and not trusting your instincts, all that coincides with each other, because when you stop believing in your values and pushing forth your values and having morals and start coinciding what other people think and what other people say and what other people think is important, where you should be here, how you should have a man treat you, what a man should do with you, when you start really putting and implementing that in your head, it starts to reflect codependency on your relationships. It starts to make people feel like you don't know who you are, you don't know who you want to be with, you don't know anything. So it's not a good look, because that's abandoning yourself. The whole purpose of not abandoning yourself is knowing yourself, knowing your worth, knowing what you need. So the last but not least is not trusting your instincts. And I wanted to repeat that one, because not trusting your instincts is not listening to your discernment, not listening to your gut, not listening to the voice in your head from God telling you what it is and what it isn't. And when you're not listening to that voice, it leads you to listen to Satan's voice, or it leads to listen to your conditioned voice that's telling you this is okay, but truthfully this is something that your mother did that got her caught up in this that wasn't good. You forgot about the consequences, you just remember the action. So I definitely think that having that instinct and discernment and learning it and learning to listen to it is what's going to help you navigate through life. Out of all these 10 ways, I think that's the most important, because trusting the instinct is going to lead to the other ways of not happening. Okay? And now I'm going to tell you guys how I overcame these. Here, you guys, this is literally how I overcame abandoning myself. I have my flashcards. This is actually where I got my notes from. So when I say that this Bible and God have really gave me just a whole new character, a whole new lifestyle, a whole new mindset, and a whole new heart, and as he continues to just mold me and change me, I'm going to share what I'm learning, but as well as I always wanted to reflect on myself as well. And I overcame a lot of these things by reading the word and understanding the word, and really trying to understand what God really put us here for, and how we're really supposed to show up in the world. Because a lot of times when it comes to, I feel like, the church scenario, they bring you all these rules, but they never really teach you how to show up for one another, what really is love, how to really run a business and handle people and handle relationships and handle family relationships, handle yourself. They don't teach much of that. I mean, some of the pastors I listen to, they do, but like I'm saying, like just in general, how I grew up in the church environment, we were never taught that. And that's kind of what made me not go to church for the past 15 years, is because I just never seen real good information given to people in church, the way I grew up. And I just feel like now that I had this encounter with God, and I have been just learning the word. That's all I have to say. Is I just been learning this word. That's all I've really been doing. I wake up every day, I read this word. I literally try to apply it to my life. I listen to how Jesus moved, how Jesus lives, and I listen to pastors who navigate the word, teach the word, and put it into a practical principle. The most person that I love to listen to is Miles Monroe. I do feel like he really gives the most practical and just understanding of how to apply these principles to your life to make your life better. And that's really what I've done, is just apply all the principles from the Bible on how to change my character, change my ways, because really the way to change your life is changing you and changing who surrounds you, because really the only reason why people are surrounding you that aren't good is because you are initially not good. You initially have some type of sickness and spoiledness in you that's attracting all these others. And then you're not having that revelation and understanding, you bring those people in. And then they end up hurting you more, instead of you trying to step back and realize what's wrong with you to heal it, to then show up a better version of yourself. That way you can attract a better version people, because these same people have the same healing as you do. And it is true, birds together flock together. So I do feel like people really need to hone in on that. Or in the Bible, you have to be equally yoked. Hone in on that. Whichever one, hone in on it and understand that you are what you surround, what you read, what you eat, what you see. And if you're not paying attention to that, then you cannot pay attention to discernment, and you will abandon yourself for the rest of your life continuously. Hey guys, I hope you liked this video. I definitely hope it opened your mind and gave you some insight. And hopefully it honed you in to help you start working and bettering yourself. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit your notification bell for all new posts. And check out my website for my body butters and face oils. Purchases are now available. Take care.